Well, ladies and gentlemen, we begin the 2018 Gibraltar Darts Trophy. And welcome to the stage a winner of the Winmore World Masters youth event 27 years ago. More recently, of course, a winner of 3 Challenge Tour titles, England's Michael Barnard. We now introduce our Eastern European qualifier. A winner on the Pro Tour this year. He's the reigning Winmore World Masters champion, Polish Eagle, Krzysztof Ratajski.
So after a break of 4 weeks, the European Tour season continues with the 7th event of 2018, and for a 6th successive year we are back at the Centenary Sports Hall here at the Victoria Stadium in Gibraltar for the Gibraltar Darts Trophy. Since we were last with you on the Euro Tour, we've had the Premier League final, the inaugural World Series event in Germany, and of course last weekend the World Cup of Darts. One half of that World Cup winning team is here this weekend as Michael van Gerwen aims to win this tournament for a 3rd time and take his tally of career Euro Tour titles to 25. MVG gets his campaign up and running tomorrow, along with the defending champion here, Michael Smith, the number 2 seed. Today, though, it's all about the 32 qualifiers, including these two. Michael Barnard, the 41-year-old from Romford, making his 2nd appearance on the Euro Tour this year, and Poland's number 1, Krzysztof Ratajski. A 3-man commentary team this weekend. Chris Murphy currently winging his way here. In the meantime, you'll have to make do with me, Rob Malarkey, and alongside me, buenos dias, Stan Dawson.
Buenos dias. Well, the European Tour, the finest tour in professional sport, very much guided by the utilitarian principles of the great philosopher Jeremy Bentham, of course, who argued that life should be about creating the greatest amount of good for the greatest number of people. And so we find ourselves here at the Gibraltar Darts Trophy. Undoubtedly a great amount of good here this weekend to a crowd of some people. So there we go. Philosophical lesson over for the day. But these two here, the reigning World Master Krzysztof Ratajski and Michael Barnard, who is terrifying the Challenge Tour this year, could produce all kinds of good things in this opening game of the tournament.
Yeah, terrifying the Challenge Tour, and he's making fairly good progress when he's having a crack at the Pro Tour as well. He's made the last 16 of 3 Pro Tour events this year as well, and certainly a player that Ratajski maybe would have liked to have avoided at this early stage of the Gibraltar Darts Trophy, as he looks to make an impact in his latest foray into the European Tour. He's becoming part of the fixtures and fittings, is Krzysztof Ratajski. Certainly last year he was.
Well, if you look at the averages over the Challenge Tour events, these two sit 2nd and 3rd in the table behind only Jason Lowe. And we've seen some big averages 99 from them over the course of the tour. We've seen Krzysztof Ratajski average 106 the last time he played Michael Barnard, beat him on the Challenge Tour. The day before he'd lost to him as Barnard won that Challenge Tour title. So these two have been right up there as the best players on that 2nd tier system, and it buys them opportunities to play in the full Pro Tours, of course, and try and qualify for these, which is what they've done again. And look at this. 170 would have led double 60.
140. Yeah, Ratajski coming through the Eastern European qualifiers, Barnard through the UK qualifiers, which were a few weeks ago.
100. Likely acquire 57.
So Barnard for an opening hold of throw. looking at 57 and looking at it for some time as well.
It won't be quick, this, but it might be very good.
Not well, you were right.
Good enough.
40.
It wasn't quick, but it wasn't good enough. And Ratajski looking at tops for the break.
On the first leg,
finds double 10 for the opening leg. It's a break of throw for the Polish number 1, the Polish Eagle, not to be confused with the Gibraltar Seagulls, which you can hear in the background, by the way. Just flying overhead in a rather unusual commentary position. We are just backstage. I say just backstage.
We're outside.
We're actually outside backstage, and that's why maybe you can just pick up the noises from overhead.
Yeah, I mean, we have commentated on this tournament before with the sounds of a rehearsal for Miss Gibraltar 2015.
140.
There'll be a plane that takes off or lands probably at some point in this afternoon session, maybe a few of them. It's just an odd tournament. But we have seen some significant victories at this event in the past.
135.
Well, you look at the Roll of Honour. Michael van Gerwen, a 2-time winner. Michael Smith, the defending champion. Phil Taylor's won this one as well. Yeah, James Wade. Yeah,
well, James Wade and Michael Smith particularly. Come to that in a moment.
140.
Back-to-back ton 40s. Yeah, both of those guys won those tournaments to help drag themselves out of respective slumps. Wade hadn't won anything for 18 months, 2 years at the time, and then won this. Shortly later on, went to win the Masters, his most recent major TV title. Michael Smith, of course, had that horrible year where he was really, really struggling, and his confidence was very low, but he battled to the title here last year. Won every single game 6-5, apart from the final, which he won 6-4 against Mensur Suljovic, if I remember rightly. And then, of course, ended up runner-up in the Premier League this year. The Gibraltar Darts Trophy can be a forerunner of things to come.
Yeah, it can be a stepping stone. It could be a big stepping stone for Ratajski this weekend as well. He was looking for treble 19 that would have set up the opportunity. As it is, Barnard can pounce here with 1-2-1 on the board.
11 to the target. Didn't even think about the treble.
96.
Yeah, just
Very few require 34.
Now then.
Look of annoyance on the face of Barnard because Ratajski looking at double 17, which he takes at the first time of asking. He was just about to debate whether he was thinking of splitting that, but straight for it. Straight into double 17, and Ratajski leads by 2.
Yeah, well, 15 dart break, 13 dart hold. In both legs, Barnard has had darts. So the standard, very good in the opening game of the tournament. 106 average Barnard, 107 for Christoph Ratajski. I was wondering what he'd actually done in leaving himself 34 there, and I wasn't sure if he was going to split it, but the beauty about double 17 and number 2, they're right next to each other, so we can always just claim that we knew exactly what he was doing anyway.
Yeah, I was just mentioning earlier that Ratajski came through qualifying for this in February. It was the last week of February. The qualifiers for this tournament in Eastern Europe were held in Prague. He also qualified for Copenhagen as well, which is our next visit on the Euro Tour. That's later in June. Came through qualifying very easily as well. He had 4 matches, won the first 3 without losing a leg, and then overcame František Humpula of the Czech Republic 6-3 in the last round.
The dromedary. So-called because he only has 1 hump. Didn't play for the Czech Republic at the World Cup of Darts, which is a little bit disappointing because he's been playing well. Humpala.
100.
Darren Webster turns 50 this weekend.
On Sunday, yeah, big weekend for Darren. He's seeded here this weekend as well.
Yeah, been playing some very good stuff. Darren Webster really fancies his chances.
95.
Jermaine Wattermainer, the machine gun. Another player we'll be seeing in action over this weekend. He's playing tonight in the first round, an unseeded player. Got one of the Gibraltarian qualifiers, Tony Dawkins. A few new names to have a look at this weekend.
99.
No Dyson Parodi. He was knocked out in qualifying last night by Anthony Lopez. You've seen Anthony Lopez. He actually won. There's only 2 Gibraltarians who ever won a game at this tournament. One of them, Dyson, who's a former quarter-finalist. And the other one, Anthony, who knocked out a fellow Gibraltarian in the first round a few years ago.
Yeah, no Manuel Valerio here this weekend either. He too was beaten in qualifying last night. He's a former World Cup player for Gibraltar as well, and a man who's played on the Euro Tour here in the past.
100.
I was just about to suggest there are more players in the crowd than actual local people, but that would be slightly stretching it. Ratajski looking to stretch his lead.
132.
Well,
42.
he's got to stop the rot here, Barnard, because he's had darts in both the previous legs. He's not taking his chances. Double 16's a new target for him, as is double 8. Oh,
just outside the wire, you can see the sweat pouring off Barnard's face. It's a very warm day. I imagine it's quite warm up on stage as well. Ratajski looks to be keeping his cool. Tops he wants now. He missed it last time before mopping up. Double 10.
46.
And another chance for Barnard to get his first leg on the board.
Yeah, it would have been a breaker throw as well, and double break and 3-0. You would think that Michael Barnard's time here in Gibraltar might be limited. But this would get him into the game.
That was a long way inside the wire. Double 4. That's better.
Leg,
And Barnard is off the mark with a holder throw, and a very important one as well. He did win his opening match on his most recent European Tour foray. That was at the Austrian Darts Open in Graz in April. He then lost 6-0 to Michael Smith in the second round.
59.
So this is his first appearance on the European Tour since then. But as Dan was saying, 2 weeks after that performance in Graz, he had a terrific performance, or a terrific time of it, on the Challenge Tour, winning back-to-back Challenge Tour events, taking his tally of titles on the Challenge Tour to 3. His first success in a PDC event was in March, the weekend of Leverkusen, when he won Challenge Tour 6, where he beat Jason Lowe in the final. Averaged 105 in that match as well against Jason Lowe, so that's a really good illustration of how strong the Challenge Tour is right now.
Well, yeah, he beat Jason Lowe with 105. The semi-finals, he beat Robert Rickwood with 109, and he'd beaten Ratajski in the last 16. It was only a 92 average, but, you know, he'd average. There was one game where he wasn't averaging in the 90s or ton plus. And that was against Koni Singh Nagy, where it was a 5-0 whitewash anyway. So, you know, he's won every single game, either convincingly or with a very solid display. And 2 of those are world-class ones, 109 and 105 in semi-final and final, which shows you the level of darts he's playing. And the recent announcement this week by the PDC to expand the World Championship with 96 players, including a spot for whoever wins the Challenge Tour. Now, that is massive for the likes of Michael Barnard, because, yeah, all right, you'd go in at the new first round stage, which isn't quite as much prize money as it would be for the first round proper in previous years, but it's still $7.5 grand of ranking money, and if you win that game, then you're up to 15 grand.
And bearing in mind you win £2,000 for each Challenge Tour event that you're successful in, that is a heck of a step up. And it's a massive incentive. Adam Hookvale, another player in that position as well, doing good things on the Challenge Tour this year, talking to him about that last night as well. And it's yeah, it's a huge, huge boost for these players.
I think you're seeing the benefit of that second-tier system, playing regular competitive darts, and how it's helped players. You know,
100.
Obviously Rob Cross
66.
had a run at it before going and playing on the full tour, but veteran players have played some good stuff as well. Wayne Jones, now then, for a level game.
50.
That's been the theme so far of this match. Barnard is level pegging with Ratajski right the way through the leg, and then he'll miss a couple of darts, and it's whether Ratajski can punish him. And he might do. Oh, right on the wire.
16.
So to get back on terms, Barnard now looking at double 8. He's not been emphatic on his doubles by any stretch of the imagination so far today, but that is bang on the money. And there's our first shots of the day of Bennett Burgess.
Is that the monkey's name?
That is the monkey's name. I've been doing my research, Don. I've not just been, you know,
Look,
swanning around Gibraltar.
look, Malarkey, you're my go-to guy for monkey-related facts. You know that.
Yeah.
You know that's always been
Even
the
though I
case.
absolutely despise the beasts. I know we are closely related, and we have like 99.2% DNA of your average monkey stroke Barbary ape, as the case is here. But yeah, Bennett's Burgess, he's been all over the world as that monkey, by the way. He's been to the World Series in Vegas. He's been to the World Match Play more times than Phil Taylor, I think. He goes every year.
I wasn't quite prepared for that level of simian-related vitriol that you just...
85.
There he is again.
And he's waving.
He was here last year, Bennett, as well. He was dressed up in Peter Wright's merchandise.
Oh, he's got a better wardrobe than
97.
Peter Wright. He has got more options. But we digress.
In the meantime, yeah, Michael Barnard has obviously got back on terms, and he's now got the wind in his sails here, with a ton 40 to get him down to a finish of 1:36, a finish first on his throw, looking to take the lead for the first time in this match.
It's very, very tight, this one. I mean, every single leg, they've been right there with each other.
58.
You know, Barnard missed darts and lost the first two legs. Ratajski missed darts and lost the next two legs. I mean, this could be 4-0 either way. Both averaging in the mid-90s right now.
96.
That'll do for Barnard.
That's nicely done by Barnard. And Ratajski all of a sudden is just playing catch-up here.
60. Michael, you require 40.
Barnard a clear favourite to win this fifth leg as well.
Game shot on the fifth leg, Michael
And
Barnard.
that'll do it.
Fifth leg, Christoph.
2-0 down,
Roper.
3-2 up for Michael Barnard, a man who came through 2 matches in the qualifying programme for the UK qualifiers, which were held in May, prior to the weekend in Milton Keynes, the Pro Tour weekend there. That was 19th of May or so.
Yes,
6-4 against Richard North, 6-4 against Steve Hine. Yeah, 18th of May, sorry.
Well, they both started off very well, but they have both missed doubles, and Christoph is not at that sort of consistent level that we kind of expect from him. You're expecting Christoph Ratajski to be living around the mid to high 90s, that sort of 95 to 98 range. That's usually what we see him do. And he started off like we were going to see a typical Christoph Ratajski display, but he's just been a little bit messy towards the end of legs, and Barnard has got better. And that scrappy third leg was only 1 in 20 darts, but then look at that, Barnard, 16 darter, 14 darter, he's just grown into this game.
And it's, you know, it's difficult when you're playing the first match in any tournament on the European Tour as well, particularly on this Friday. It's a quiet day, but especially so here. It will get more lively later on tonight when people have knocked off and again going into the weekend as well, but it must be difficult to sort of get yourself going in this first match of the day.
140.
Yeah, he was in the Poland team last weekend, Christoph Ratajski, along with Titus Karnik, the Polish tour card holder that we have in PDC darts. And they really did scare Northern Ireland in the first round. It went to a last leg decider. It was only a fantastic ton plus checkout from Darryl Gurney, the Grand Prix champion, that got him over the line in that game. Near misses have been kind of a theme for Christoph. You know, he's been specialising in some heroic defeats. Good seat there. You just see over the rest of the crowd. Nobody getting in the way. Did of course win a senior title in the UK Open qualifiers, Christoph. Oh.
153.
And that's one of the reasons why he can produce moments like that, just to put the pressure on Michael Barnard here, because even though he's 3-2 up, he hasn't been convincing on his doubles by and large in this one. And he's looking at tops now for a 4-2 lead. It would be another break of throw as well, and this time he is more emphatic, and he clearly is delighted with that as well.
7th leg, Michael, who threw first. Game on.
Yeah, Ratajski just looking a little bit rattled here, shake of the head, and just looking a bit disconsolate now.
Well, there you see the importance of timing. I say it all the time. It's about hitting the right shot at the right time. Now, Barnard has missed darts, but it's doubly wounding for Ratajski to see him one dart in hand, pins the double first time. For the first time in this match that he's managed to do that, straight after Ratajski put a perfect setup shot. They're the kind of moments that can break you as a player. Ratajski has hit straight back with a ton 40. There's life in this game. There's not much in the averages.
83.
And it's still 93 for Ratajski, 96 or so for Barnard. Good competitive game. Good start to the tournament, this. Winner of this plays Peter Wright, who's just dropped down to number 3 in the seedings. He's used to being number 1 or 2, but down to number 3. And later on this year, we will have a first. The European Tour in its current incarnation. You know, we've been adding various venues and numbers of tournaments, but it's been going in this sort of format since 2012. Peter Wright is the only player to have played every single one of them. Well, he's not going to be playing one later on this year.
Why so, Dom?
Well, he's doing the World Series down under in New Zealand and Australia, and then he's going on holiday, and it just means he's going to have to skip one. So for the very first time in Euro Tour history, we will not have Peter Snakebite Wright. I think that's going to be the one at the end of August, start of September, the German Darts Championship.
Ian Hildesheim.
Mm-hmm.
He will be missed.
He will be back. Now then, is Christoph making his way back into this one?
100. Require 158.
Well, Ratajski will be hopeful of coming back unless Barnard can produce something spectacular here, looking at 158. Only one way to go, and I wouldn't put it past him.
Oof, my word. Well, look, if that 76 checkout was a heartbreaker, that 158, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Christoph just chucked his darts down and walked off after that if it had gone in.
As it is, he's now looking at double 5. And there we see the head just drops from Ratajski. He knows that was his opportunity to get the break back, and he's running out of opportunities here now. Michael Barnard looking at a 5-2 lead. 2 darts away. And maybe, just maybe, there is life in this match after all.
Oh, they're the sort of shots that he's been taking out these last few legs and helped him build up this lead. Oh, Christoph.
6. Michael, you require 40.
Well, some of this has been about Michael Barnard's excellence, but the back end of it, Christoph has just handed this game on a platter
On the 7th flag,
to his opponent, and that is 5-2, and I'm not sure that Christoph has it in him to turn this around, because that was a huge opportunity and he's blown it.
Yeah, and he just looks very, very angry with himself, very frustrated, and when he's got that sort of mindset, you just really fear for him. But he's now got to win 4 on the bounce, otherwise it will be a early flight away from Gibraltar for the Polish number 1. The Polish Eagle will be flying back to Poland.
Jeffrey de Graaf and Darius Labanauskas coming up, second game of the afternoon. We've got the likes of the Lethal Biscuit, James Wilson, a former BDO number 1 against a former major finalist in Brendan Dolan. Last game of the night looks an interesting one. Ross Smith, the last man to hit a 9-darter on the European Tour in this venue 5 years ago, takes on Jamie Lewis, a man who made the final of this tournament a fair few years ago, was beaten by Phil Taylor. But he does like it here in Gibraltar, this Jamie Lewis.
He does.
Usually he's had a run to a final and a run to a semi-final.
Yeah, Jamie Lewis and Ross Smith in the last match of the afternoon session. The last match of tonight's session features the 2-time world champion Adrian Lewis against the local qualifier Clayton Otten. That should be an intriguing match. Interesting to see how Lewis fares as well, because he's not really been doing it on the European Tour stage this year so far.
How old is Clayton Otten, do we know?
I'll clarify that in due course.
I think he's a teenager, isn't he?
Yeah, I was going to say 19, but I'll double check that.
I think we saw Clayton Otten a few years ago win the Gibraltar Youth Final here on this stage.
Steve Lennon also involved tonight as well, the finalist in Zwolle in our most recent Euro Tour event. He plays Chris Dobie, which looks to be a really good matchup. I think Dobie again will be feeling he could have been rewarded or given a kinder draw than that. So one of those two fairly relative heavyweights in the first round will fall by the wayside. Barnard here looking to claw his way back into this leg. Ratajski's just established the lead, albeit on his throw, so Barnard won't be panicking too much about this. Ratajski now 72 away from getting a third leg. Well, that just sums up his day so far. He's left with 63 now. He's left with the bullseye. And he's missed that as well. Now, Barnard looks at the 1-2-1 before.
Yeah, missed the bullseye for it in the second leg. Treble 17 gives him a match dart. Not to be, but with Ratajski finishing as he has been over the last few legs, you wouldn't rule out Barnard coming back and having a look at that double 12 for the match. Only just in that 9.
Very, very close to messing it up again. Still looking at double 8s. Ratajski breathes again.
Michael to throw first. Game on.
Well, it's a start for Christoph. He's hit a double, and he hasn't done that for a long while. Since leg 2, in fact. But he's got to break the throw twice, and that looks tricky. Did manage to break Barnard in the very first leg of this match with a 15 darter.
$59. $140.
Yeah, Barnard just signalling again his authority in this match. Ratajski once more chasing the game
100.
Slightly in this one. Barnard in good shape here, has a cushion to work with. Should get down to a finish first as well, and most certainly will now. And it could be a very, very manageable one as well. Beautifully done. And again, all about the timing from Michael Barnard, just hammering home his authority now in the closing straight.
Well, no possible finish can be left from 3-4-2 for Christoph Ratajski, so Barnard has got plenty of time to see this off. He could go bull first dart to guarantee a dart at the double. Let's see which route he goes. Now, treble 10 would leave double 16. And now just set it up. So 3 match darts coming in for Michael Barnard, and double top will be the target. Twice they've met on the Challenge Tour this year already. It was 1 win apiece with some spectacular stuff in one of those games from Christoph Ratajski with 106 average almost, but he's not been able to replicate it here in Gibraltar today, and it looks like Michael Barnard is going to set up a clash with Peter Snakebite right in round 2. Double top the target. And double top is hit for a 13 darter. Pretty impressive stuff from Michael Barnard, seeing off the world master with an average around about the 95-96 mark. It's kind of what we expect him to do nowadays. The Challenge Tour working wonders for Michael Barnard. We'll see how far it can take him this weekend in the heat of Gibraltar. Coming up, it's another star of the BDO. Didn't go well for Ratajski. Will it go well for Darius Labanauskas, the Lithuanian? He takes on Jeffrey de Graaf here.